You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
We do this every single Wednesday. It's Keegan, it's Dan. On Mondays, we have McGuire, so we call it McGuire Mondays. We need something catchy to remind people it's on Wednesday. Keegan, you're a writer?
We could just lean into Wine Wednesday and I'd pour myself a nice glass of red here at 10 a.m.
But then people read that wrong, and then they're like, oh, these two dudes whining.
We could go Wednesdays with Keegan. Those are two W's right
Wednesdays
there.
with.
This is why they pay me millions of dollars at MLB.com.
Wednesdays with. And just ...
It's a surprise every week. The surprise is me, unfortunately, but I like it.
Hey, so early in the season, when the Toronto Maple Leafs were in the playoffs, that seems like that was 4 months ago. I said this is the time to work out the kinks for the Toronto Blue Jays. But hockey still has the nation's attention right up until the handing out of the Stanley Cup. So that happened Tuesday night. And guess what the Toronto Blue Jays have done now that they have the nation's attention starting on Wednesday? They're 3 games out of first in the AL East.
It's good timing, man. And especially with that win, the Barger walk-off, the best win of the year, most exciting win of the year. This timing matters. Like, it really does. And the Blue Jays, we've seen, Dan, since 2021, even when they are a postseason team, they haven't grabbed the city like they did in 15 and 16. They just haven't. And they're not there yet. Not close to that yet. It's still a long way. But we have not seen that full movement around the Blue Jays where they become cool again. Mm-hmm. We saw it with the Raptors in 2019. The Raptors became cool. It was the place to be. It was the thing to wear out on the street. It was the thing you talked about at work. Jays haven't been back there yet, and they have a chance again. And this team, I mean, the door's wide open for them to do this, especially with the division in front of them. Not just another wild card. Stop settling for wild cards. But the division is in front of them. This team is not just good. I'm not saying they're great. They're a good team, but they're exciting. They're exciting to watch, and Addison Barger captures that so well. They're not trying to string together 11 singles to win a game 3-1. Nobody cares. This is an exciting baseball team that has a little chaos to it right now, man. And it's, if you're an inside baseball type of person that loves the fancy stats and the metrics and everything that goes into it, there's a lot to interest you. But if you are 99% of fans who just wants to be entertained, this season's a hell of a lot more fun than the last few years, I think, so far. And timing, man, it's everything. Timing is perfect right now.
Yeah, Jays went on a little sour patch when they lost a bunch in a row. And guess what? The New York Yankees are human. They've lost 5 in a row. So all of this is happening at the perfect time.
It is. And the Red Sox just had the great idea to trade their best player, too. So it's wide open. The Orioles suck this year, which blows me away. I thought the Orioles were going to take a step forward this year. They just didn't add. They didn't add pitching. And that's going to be tragic if they waste those years of Gunnar Henderson and Jackson Holliday and Adley Rutschman and all that. The Rays look kind of like an annoying team, like they always are, and I mean that in a high complimentary way, but I don't think they're a powerhouse. This is as wide open as the division and maybe the American League has been in this entire competitive window for the Blue Jays going back to 2020. And that's got to be exciting right now because the opportunity to get the division is so important. If you sneak in on a wild card, you're looking at a best 2 out of 3. If somebody has a bad day or you get a bad bounce, your season's over. We've seen them go 0-2, 0-2, and 0-2 in those 3 wild card series since 2020. But if you can get in to a division series and a best of 5, that's when this gets exciting. That's when you can settle in and try to structure a pitching staff, really get to know the other team and their bullpen. That's a real baseball series, at least 5 games. So it's a cue, I think, for the Jays, Dan, to get aggressive. The trade deadline's in 6 weeks. Why not now? Why not go nuts this year? This is the time to do it, especially if they can stay close to the Yankees. And, man, it's, I think, 10 days from now, end of this month, going into early July, the Yankees are in town for that series. That's going to be the biggest series of the year. It's going to be fun, man. This is getting exciting.
And when you have a player return from injury, it's like acquiring someone at the trade deadline without having to give anyone up. So Max Scherzer, I saw highlights of him pitching in a game in Buffalo. What's your update?
Yeah, that was not AI. It was real, Dan. It's amazing. Yes. And we're going to see him pitching again tonight. We're talking on Wednesday the 18th. He's going to pitch tonight with Buffalo in Worcester, I believe they are. I took a look on the map to see if I should go, and I thought, nah, I don't think so. But down in Worcester with the AAA Buffalo Bisons, if he gets up to, let's call it 75 pitches, I think his next start should come in the big leagues. Number one, because he'll be ready enough. Number two, they need somebody. I mean, right now, Eric Lauer's in the rotation. Is it going to be Nick Turnbull, Paxton Schultz in the rotation? I don't think that's the answer. So once Scherzer is ready, I mean, this guy is not on a 8-year contract. Like, if he's close to ready, get him out there. Yeah. There's not much season left. There's 3 months left in the season. Get him out there. And if Scherzer is healthy, I keep saying if on purpose because we don't know yet. Mm-hmm. But if he's healthy, I still think he's an effective pitcher. I still think he's a guy who can give you a 3.9 ERA. And it might only be 4 2/3, 5 innings at a time, not 7. But this is modern Major League Baseball anyways. That's what the Blue Jays are doing already. And having Scherzer around instead of just hovering on the IL would be huge because it would simplify their bullpen as well, Dan. Right now, they're kind of saving a couple of guys all the time for that number 5 spot, which means you're playing with like a 5 or 6 man bullpen. It sucks. It's been really awkward for John Schneider. So having Scherzer back as early as, next Monday or Tuesday, that's big. And yes. I think he's still a real pitcher in this league. We spent so much time talking about his thumb. But if he's healthy, he's still a legitimate big league pitcher and a future Hall of Famer. Like, that gets fun pretty quickly.
Have you heard any stories? Because everyone down in AAA, the entire world knows what Max Scherzer makes. He's getting paid by currently 4 teams right now. They know what he's made in his career. Is he taking these guys out who he knows what they make too? They are not making a lot of money. Have you heard any stories about him taking them out for dinner or anything?
Well, you have to. I think when we were standing in the clubhouse in Philadelphia, Caleb Joseph with Sportsnet, a former big leaguer himself and a great dude, he asked Max that as he came by, and I think Max just shouted steak and lobster over his shoulder as he walked away. I don't know where you get that delivered in Buffalo, let alone Worcester. I don't know what they'll be eating in Worcester. Some of these minor league towns are a little, maybe you're getting like Chili's delivered or something, but at least whatever you want on the menu. But that's, man, he would have been getting followed around. I bet you Max had to sign like 7 lineup cards for everybody. Every pitcher would have been watching him throw his bullpen. And like he allowed a home run in that AAA rehab game too. Like, whoever that was who hit it, you got a story for life. You homered off Max Scherzer. It's so cool.
Hey, we're getting into actually warm weather in Ontario. If you're listening to this outside of Ontario, it has been a miserable start to the summer, but the sun is now shining. It was 25 degrees and sunny yesterday, so the Jays had the roof open. And Keegan, I'm always reminded when you start to see the roof open in Toronto. I was looking at the highlights, and the picture on the broadcast is so different that I said, wait, the Jays are in I thought the Jays were in Toronto, but why are they wearing their whites on the road? And then I'm like, oh, they're at home. The roof must be open. That's how jarringly different it looks.
It's so much better. It changes. It changes my day, honestly. It changes how much I enjoy my job. Like when I go to cover a game, like tonight on Wednesday, I think it's going to rain. I'll probably be in a closed dome all night. And when you come out of it, it's like when you come out of a movie theater and step outside, only multiplied by 10. You're like, oh, oxygen. Okay, there's a real world out here, thank God. You feel like you're in a coal mine all day, you know?
It's like walking out of a Vegas casino and it's the middle of the day and you're like, what's going on?
You reek of cigarettes. You've somehow spent $600. But oh man, it's a different world when that dome is open and you can see the tower. And that dome, man, I used to be a bit of a Sky Dome, not hater, but I think I focused too much on the fact it was a little ugly, a little concrete, a little stuck in 1989. But with every passing year of my life, I love that dome more and I love that stadium more because I'll end up on the road, Dan, in a road city, and a rain delay will happen, and I will lose my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I look around and thinking, you guys do this all the time? We're just going to sit here until it stops raining? It's ridiculous. So the fact that Blue Jays fans, not just me selfishly, but Blue Jays fans as a whole, if you buy a ticket, you know there's going to be a baseball game, and you might get some open air. It's incredible. Retractable roofs for every stadium forever.
What are the stats on the ball flight with the dome open and the dome closed?
The Jays do a lot of fancy stat work on that. And there are years where, and now, it gets into fancy wind patterns and people who are more intelligent than me. But the Jays do a lot of work on that. The hitters tend to like it open. There have been years where it's been a little more in the middle. The hitters tend to like it open, which means the pitchers probably don't. I remember back in the day, was it R.A. Dickey liked it closed because the wind patterns were more predictable, which was getting a little big-brained for me. I remember once, I used to have to cover the road teams a lot when I started at MLB.com, and I got the Orioles a lot back in the Buck Showalter days. And he liked to kind of lovingly pick on the new reporters on the other side. So he'd look at me, I'm 25, my shirt's tucked in, he'd just point at me. How are the Toronto Rock doing? The lacrosse team up here. And I'd be like, dude, I don't know. But he would tell so many crazy stories. And one of my favorite recurring Buck Showalter stories, he had this theory that since the concrete of the stadium, since the moisture had seeped out of the concrete and the concrete was now dry, there was drier air in the stadium now, and that made the ball fly more than it did when the stadium opened. So he was getting into the science of concrete hydration, and he would tell me that story in the most serious voice, and I'd be there nodding, like, is this guy trying to pull one on me? I don't really know, but the Buck Showalter theory of dry concrete helping the ball fly.
Buck Showalter, a star of the TV show Seinfeld.
Oh, man, that's true. Buck was the man. I used to love those scrums, man. He was one of a kind. You never really knew how to read the guy.
I could talk about the dome roof being open forever because of just memories I've had. Because if you sit on the first base side on a sunny day, you may die.
Yeah.
You may actually die from sun exposure. But how about the acoustics? The acoustics, I think, are almost better than the visuals.
So much better. And I get it. The press box is up on the 300 level in the deep left field corner because they turned behind home plate into a fancy suite, which is another rant for another day that I've already lost. But however, I don't know if it's like this in the lower bowl, but just based on where we are, the acoustics in the stadium when it's closed, it sounds like you're underwater and there's a stereo playing next to you. And I'm being electrocuted by that stereo while hearing its horrible audio. It is,
Keegan, you're having some wild dreams, buddy.
Truly. I need to stop eating before bed. But it is, it's a nightmare for me. And I struggle with it, man. Like when I get home at 11 p.m., like I'm wired. It takes me hours to get to sleep because it's been 8 hours of just this woo, 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 woo audio that I can't really even make out. If it's going to be loud, at least let me hear the words. But when you open it up, it changes everything. And I'd assume it's because we're close to the roof. We're getting some reflection off the roof as well. But changes everything. And it's such a different experience. The breeze comes in through, especially if you're sitting on the third base side and you can look up and see the tower. Like, that's one of the coolest shots in baseball. And the way you can tell that, man, is because when road players come, they're all out taking selfies and taking pictures of each other. They'll have a teammate laying on the ground, taking a picture up of them with the tower. So if big leaguers think it's cool, it probably is.
So the Jays used to do a little video, and I thought it was brilliant in its simplicity and its humor. And that was, they asked a question, is the roof open or closed? And they asked this during the game, so you can obviously just look up, and a player would come on, and he'd say, it's open. Do they still do this?
Josh Donaldson roof report for a while.
Yes. Do they
Nobody
still do
right
that?
now. No, I don't think so right now. Bring it back. Get a sponsor. Everything needs a sponsor. Once it has a sponsor, it'll come back. The roof report brought to you by some shingling company.
It was Josh Donaldson, and I thought this is like Tim and Eric level humor where it's just basic, to the point, no explanation needed.
Exactly. They just need a sponsor, man. Once it makes $100, it'll be back.
Well, it's been another Wednesdays with. Hopefully, the roof will be open tonight, but the outlook's not looking good. Thanks, Keegan.
Not good. You got it, Dan.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.